Hi, I am Kati, and I am passionate about helping people to be better in thinking, learning, teaching, cooperation, goal setting, dreaming, and even in speaking. I use for that a tool called graphic facilitation, or conscious doodling, or sketchnoting. In Estonia we have this saying that a good child have a lot of names. So actually I love to call it thinking with pen. And it's because the act of itself is actually taking your thoughts out of your head in front of your eyes in order to see and really understand them. And you use paper and pen for that, or you can use some pad and digital pencil. But the main reason is why to do it is actually the act of itself, using your own hand and not this typing. And of course there are something to do with keywords and some drawings, but we will dig into that a bit later. Why graphic facilitation is important? Because I think that head is a very dangerous place, just to work with ideas, especially when you work with others, because I can't see into your head, or you can see in my head what's going on there. So we need to make them visible. So I'm a practitioner, but also a researcher. And why I am going into this science part a bit is because I truly believe that in education we need to rethink the way we think about drawing or how we teach drawing. I strongly think that drawing as a third language should be used more as a thinking tool beside words and numbers. But also we dig into that a bit later. I'm totally aware that our, let's say, the theme for the month is relationship. If someone think what the heck the Kati is doing there. But I want to see this topic in the light of my own expertise and maybe even my own story, because we can have the relationship with our skills. We can have a relationship with our superpowers, to really be connected with the talents we have in order to make them serve us and serve others. So we will look at this relationship topic as you can take it as a story about limiting beliefs, learning a new tool, or maybe creating a new habit, because all three are something we briefly go through today. But before we move on, I actually want you to really take this pen and paper and start making notes. But you can do it in your regular way if you are usually do it using words, like I have here. The thing I would love you to do is to do it more like a mind mapping or brainstorming, just randomly putting the ideas, or maybe not so randomly if you see some connections and some things are tied with others, so you write them in the same place. But the main thing also is, don't write down long sentences, just keywords, ideas. And also I think the biggest request for you is, don't do notes for others. Please do notes for yourself, and don't write down just what you hear, but write down how you connect now with these ideas. What are your own thoughts, and the best thing, what are your own actions after this WOM? Okay. If you don't have a paper and pen, then you can pause this, because this is recorded, not the live Facebook, and you can come back and have your pen and paper. But I would like to start with a story, and the story is about myself. You know, when I was younger, then I was a very good student in school, in primary school, in high school, and I could say that I was multi-talented. It may sound a bit funny from my own mouth to say it, but actually it's true, because everything I did, I was good at. Was it mathematics, languages, literacy, chemistry? I performed poems and plays. I sang. I did sport, and I even was, representing my own school in this national level tests in chemistry or math or Estonian language. So you can see the very big variety of things that I did. And of course I learned because of good marks. I had good marks, but I don't remember myself, especially doing a lot of work for it. So it didn't took much effort from me to really be a good student or really to understand. So I learned for marks, but I really also understood things that I did. But there is one but. And maybe you can guess already, this but is I wasn't good in one lesson. Classical story. The lesson was an art lesson. And I just couldn't get it, and I still think that my teacher put a good mark there for me, just an average mark, not to ruin my graduation certification. So I was struggling a lot, and it may be funny because at the moment people tell me a lot that you must be with an artistic background, but the story is totally opposite, because when I was in high school, I was in a sports boarding school, and believe me, art was the last thing on our minds there. So I haven't been any artistic background. I could do everything else better. But today, what I do for a living, or what is my passion, I could say that actually it's everything I did when I was a child, everything that made me very good in learning and also helping others. It was this connecting ideas, synthesizing, simplifying, seeing big picture, seeing patterns. This what made me a very fast learner, because I was good at these things. And what is graphic facilitation is about, and sketchnoting is also not so much about drawing, but more about these abilities and these talents. So I can say that I found a tool, drawing, sketchnoting, to connect my talents and bring out the best of me. So at the moment I have a first question or thing for you to think about. What are your talents, or what did you like or was good at when you were a child? And have you found this tool or this way to bring out your superpowers in order to serve yourself and serve others? But don't get me wrong, I don't underestimate in this graphic facilitation part this drawing. I doodle, I sketch. You have seen my sketches, but you have also seen I use these keywords and ideas. So this graphic facilitation is about using pictures and words and these abilities. But this drawing part is actually it's a technique that you can learn. It's the easiest part in sketchnoting, in thinking with pen. It's easiest to learn this drawing. But why we think it is so hard? I think it's because we haven't learned it. So let's take a child. When child is very young, before the child starts talking or writing or reading, the child starts sketching, doodling. And if you don't believe me, then sometimes I challenge people who have small children, and I say, don't give them paper and pen. And soon enough you will find out that your new lipstick is tried out on a new wall, or your knife is tested, is it sharp enough to make a good line to your floor. So this is kind of our, let's say, something inside of us that wants to do these lines and circles, and it's something that we just have inside of us to show our emotions, to express our feelings and so on. And if you think about this child, if the child is growing, then the one way the child is learning, the best and biggest way, is about picture. With the child is learning through pictures, so the drawing, and we show them the pictures and they draw and then they start learning. But what happens when a child goes to school? This drawing goes to a separate lesson, and we don't use it anymore as a thinking and learning tool like it was before. And don't get me wrong, the art lesson is in a right position. It should be there like all the other lessons, and probably everything we teach in art lesson is in the right place. But what about the other lessons where we could use drawing as thinking and learning and teaching tool? We forget it, and we don't develop the skill of drawing for thinking. We don't have this technique. And probably you can, write in comments if you are the one who don't know the language of mathematics. For example, if I tell you write down 1 plus 1, then you do it like this. But the person who haven't learned mathematical language does like this, plus 1, yeah, with words, because maybe he has learned only the language of words and alphabetical ABC. So what I want to say is, I have learned the language of symbols and the language of shapes. And for example, let's say Roland tells us, be brave. And if I want to kind of write it down, then I can do it this way. Roland tells us, be brave. And all I have to do is to write here, because I know how to use these shapes to express some words. The same here. So that's why I always use this approach with alphabetical language, mathematical language, and the language of shapes and symbols. I think it's something to take with you, yeah? How you have your relation with this third language. Do you know how to use shapes and symbols? But also why people think that this graphic facilitation is very hard is because these symbols and this drawing. Here I did it for a reason that I didn't have any pictures here, because I want to show you that this drawing is not so hard. Because first, you don't need to start with symbols. Let's say that you are not very good in mathematics yet. You just know this 1 plus 1. So you start learning step by step. You don't go to the sinuses and cosinuses and I don't know how to say it in English, all these words, but you know this higher level of math just after learning 1 plus 1. So you develop your mathematical skill also with words. You learn this ABC, then you learn how to make the sentences, then you learn how to write the sentences into the story, and then you finally do your PhD thesis like this. No problem to write at all. But what about this drawing? If we think that we are grown-ups now, and we haven't learned this third language, and then we want to do the sketchnoting and use graphic facilitation, and then we want to go in front of others and talk and draw, and then we are not good in it, and we think, not for me. But actually you start to have from basics and then, slowly develop. And I will show you now. So we have these words, and I hope that you did some kind of notes for yourself. And for example, if you want to show that somebody's talking something, you use this talking bubble. If you want to make somebody, thinking about, like let's say we are thinking about superpowers, then you make this thinking bubble. This comes from comics, yes, not hard to use. If you want to draw a person, then a lot of times when we are struggling drawing a person, we go into the details. But is it important, for example, this was Roland, yes? So I write here Roland, and everybody understands. Is it important even what color is the blouse he's wearing, or how long are his eyebrows? No, in this moment it's not important. Maybe if I want to draw that Roland is a very good listener, so I draw here this ear to show it out, to remember it later, then I can draw it out. Yes, I can do eyes and the mouth. So it's just take out all the elements you don't need and draw it the easiest way. So you can use just a head like this and just a body like this. You can make hands here or legs here, but actually you just use the person like this, or you can use several people like this. So, and you can do different frames, like you can frame here and maybe it's typed here, or you can use different signs. So actually what this is about, you start framing, to frame in order to start connecting ideas. And then if you have practiced this framing and these people, then you can actually move into these symbols. And let's say, you want to use this, I take this one. We dig into it just in a second, but actually here you can see that I used some symbols. And why I can use these symbols? Because I have this, let's say this box of symbols in my head, that in the middle of the night, if you want me to draw something, then I know how to draw these things. But if you look at my notes a bit closer, you can see that actually I don't have there a lot of different variety of things, because I could say I have maybe 20 symbols in my mind that comes like this, because they are like triggers for me. If I do my notes, then this one can be as an anchor, this one can be something to rely on, something that keeps me strong. The hand can be something that I want to learn, something that I want to keep in mind, and so on. So one symbol can be a trigger for different things. So if you have started to develop your let's say package of symbols, then just think about the words you use a lot, or what kind of things you need to remember more, and then you can start using these symbols. But as actually the graphic facilitation is not so much only remembering information, then doing more this kind of big pictures. I have one here. So you can see all this we draw today, actually, the people, and now you already can see these maps. But these can come later, all this, doing this map stuff. And when we talk about this, let's say this note-taking is, what I want you to consider next time you do notes, that what I said before, do notes for your own. It's also the relationship with yourself, how you do these notes. Do you do them for others, just reporting, or you really think through in your head what you hear now, what you want to remember, how you want to act on this information, what ideas you got. So make your notes personal. And last, I can see that my time is totally over, but why I wanted also to share, this is something very new for me, but I've been struggling with this information, how to get people to start using graphic facilitation more easily, doing sketchnoting more easily, not to thinking about this drawing part so much. So I want to say that it's from PJ Fogg, when you start a new habit, then actually you have to start it with step by step, and you have to have three things. You have to have this anchor, that is the thing that you usually do. Let's say that your anchor is that if you are listening someone, you do the notes. So this is your anchor. New tiny behavior is you want to start doing sketchnoting, so you want to use some frames or shapes. So you start using, let's say, talking bubble and a little person there. So this is your new tiny habit. Every time you write something down, you do this talking bubble and the person. And the third thing, you instantly celebrate it, you smile and you look at it and you say, it's so beautiful, I'm so talented, I can draw. And if you have used it, like let's say 3 months, then let's see what happens. Or I can give you a challenge for 7 days. Every time you write down something, draw the talking bubble, draw the person. And of course, for a new behavior, there is also 3 things. To be motivated, to have ability, and to have a prompt. Let's say that the prompts you will have. You look around, you listen some TEDx, you listen to me, and this is your prompt, the place where you want to learn something. And the abilities, always take the paper and pen near you. So you can't say that, I couldn't do the sketchnoting because I didn't have paper and pen. Be sure you have this ability and the motivation. I hope that I gave you through this 22 minutes WOM, which should be 15 minutes, but you can watch it in a faster program, so let's make it like 15 minutes. And okay, I really much thank you, and let's see what's your comment down there. So